The Macedonians, also known as Macedonian Slavs or Slavic Macedonians, are a South Slavic ethnic group native to the region of Macedonia. They speak the Macedonian language, of South Slavic language. About two-thirds of all ethnic Macedonians live in the Republic of Macedonia, and there are also communities in a number of other countries. Origins. The origins of Macedonians are varied and rich. In antiquity, much of central northern Macedonia was inhabited by Paeonians who expanded from the lower Strymon basin. The Pelagonian plain was inhabited by the Pelagones, an Upper Macedonian peoples, whilst the western region was said to have been inhabited by Illyrian peoples. During the late classical period, having already developed several sophisticated polis-type settlements and a thriving economy based on mining, Paeonia became a constituent province of the Argead Macedonian kingdom. Roman conquest brought with it a significant Romanization of the region. This Roman component would be everlasting. During the Dominate period, barbarian federates were at times settled on Macedonian soil, such as the Sarmatians settled by Constantine of the settlement of Alarics, Goths. In contrast to frontier provinces, Macedonia continued to be a flourishing Christian Roman province in late antiquity and into the early Middle Ages. Linguistically, the South Slavic languages from which Macedonian developed are thought to have expanded in the region during the post-Roman period, although the exact mechanisms of this linguistic expansion remains a matter of scholarly discussion. Traditional historiography has equated these changes with the commencement of raids and invasions of Sklavna and Antes from Wallachia and western Ukraine during the 6th and 7th centuries. However, recent anthropological and archaeological perspectives have viewed the appearance of Slavs in Macedonia, and throughout the Balkans in general, as part of a broad and complex process of transformation of the cultural, political and ethno-linguistic Balkan landscape after the collapse of Roman authority. The exact details and chronology of population shifts remain to be determined. What is beyond dispute is that, in contrast to Bulgaria, northern Macedonia remained Roman in its cultural outlook into the 7th century and beyond. Yet at the same time, sources attest numerous Slavic tribes in the environs of Thessaloniki and further afield, including the Bertsiti in Pelagonia. Apart from Slavs and late Byzantines, the settlement of Kuva was Pannonian Bulgars, a mix of Roman Christians. Bulgars and Avars populated the Karamission plain around Bitola in the late 7th century. Later pockets of settlers included Magyars in the 9th century, Armenians in the 10th, 12th centuries, Cumans in the 11th, 13th centuries, and Saxon miners in the 14th and 15th centuries, having previously been Byzantine clients. The Sclavenia of Macedonia probably switched their allegiance to Bulgaria during the reign of Empress Irene, and was gradually incorporated into the Bulgarian Empire after the mid-9th century. Subsequently, the literary and ecclesiastical centers in Ohrid not only became a second cultural capital of medieval Bulgaria, but soon eclipsed those in pre-Slav. Many aspects which now define Macedonian culture are a culmination of the so-called Byzantine Commonwealth, which consisted of medieval Byzantine, Bulgarian and Serbian empires. Cultural, ecclesiastical and political developments of Slav Orthodox culture occurred in Macedonia itself. Anthropologically, Macedonians possess genetic lineages postulated to represent Balkan prehistoric and historic demographic processes. Such lineages are also typically found in other South Slavs, especially Bulgarians, Serbs, Bosnians, Montenegrins, but also to the northern Greeks and Romanians. Albanians. Identities. The large majority of Macedonians identify as Orthodox Christians, who speak a South Slavic language, and share a cultural and historical Orthodox Byzantine Slavic heritage with the neighbors. The concept of a Macedonian ethnicity, distinct from their Orthodox Balkan neighbors, is seen to be a comparatively newly emergent one. The earliest manifestation of a Macedonian identity emerged in the late 19th century, and this was consolidated by Yugoslav governmental policy from the 1940s. However, modern researchers recognize that all nations are modern constructs. Even ethnic groups with long recorded history are characterized by marked discontinuity with the ancient past, and reinvention during Romantic nationalism movement. Heather Ray summarizes that Macedonian identity is no more or less artificial than any other identity. It merely has a more recent ethnogenesis, one that can therefore more easily be traced through the recent historical record. During the formative Middle Ages, there was no distinct ethno-political Macedonian identity. References to Macedonians were varied, from geographical to administrative one. The Byzantine historians categorized the numerous Slavic tribal unions on the early medieval Balkans as Sclavenias and often associated them with particular tribes. In the 9th century, Theophanes the Confessor reported that the Emperor Constantine V captured the Macedonian Sclavenias in the year 758 to 759. The modern Macedonian historians have described it as some kind of primary ethno-political entity, but such views are doubtful. These Slavs did not have sufficient state-building skills. They failed to unite them, and in the 8th century they were reconquered by the Byzantines. On the other hand, recent publications by Florin Curta describe the Great Slavic invasion of the 6th and 7th century on the Balkans, and particularly in Macedonia, as a 19th century historical exaggeration. Thus, the construction of the first South Slavic states was organized by the Croats, Serbs and Bulgars, and the local population in today Republic of Macedonia was conquered by the Bulgars in the middle of the 9th century. The Slavs were self-governing in their extended families and districts, and the tribal organization was sufficiently strong to abolish Byzantine rule in the Balkans. But these Slavs did not have marked state-building skills. The construction of the first South Slavic states was accomplished under the auspices of subsequent invaders, who gave the rise of 3 South Slavic matrix nationalities. These were Croats, Serbs and Bulgars. Yet, throughout the Middle Ages and up until the early 20th century, the Slavic-speaking majority in the region of Macedonia were more commonly referred to as Bulgarians. However, in pre-nationalist times, terms such as Bulgarian did not possess a strict ethno-nationalistic meaning. Rather, they were loose, often interchangeable terms which could simultaneously denote regional habitation, allegiance to a particular empire, religious orientation, membership in certain social groups. Similarly, a Byzantine was a Roman subject of Constantinople, and the term bore no strict ethnic connotations, Greek or otherwise. Overall, in the Middle Ages, a person's origin was distinctly regional. After the final Ottoman conquest of the Balkans by the Ottomans in the 15th century, all Orthodox Christians were included in a specific ethno-religious community under Greco-Byzantine jurisdiction called Milit. The belonging to this religious commonwealth was so important that most of the common people began to identify themselves as Christians. However, ethnonyms never disappeared, and some form of primary ethnic identity was available. This is confirmed from a Sultan's Firman from 1680 which describes the ethnic groups in the Balkan territories of the empire as follows: Greeks, Albanians, Serbs, Vlachs and Bulgarians. The rise of nationalism under the Ottoman Empire in the early 19th century brought opposition to this continued situation. At the time the classical Rum millet began to degrade. The coordinated actions carried out by Bulgarian national leaders supported by the majority of the Slavic population in today Republic of Macedonia in order to be recognized as a separate ethnic entity, constituted the so-called Bulgarian millet, recognized in 1870. At the time of its creation, people living in Varda, Macedonia, were not in the Exarchate. However, as a result of plebiscites held between 1872 and 1875, the Slavic districts in the area voted overwhelmingly to go over to the new national church. Referring to the results of the plebiscites, and on the basis of statistical and ethnological indications, the 1876 Conference of Constantinople included most of Macedonia into the Bulgarian ethnic territory. The borders of New Bulgarian State, drawn by the 1878 Treaty of San Stefano, also included Macedonia, but the treaty was never put into effect and the Treaty of Berlin returned Macedonia to the Ottoman Empire. With the creation of the Bulgarian Principality, the Macedonian upper stratum had to decide whether Macedonia was to emerge as an independent state or as part of a Greater Bulgaria. During this period, the first expressions of ethnic nationalism by certain Macedonian intellectuals occurred in Belgrade, Sofia, Istanbul, Thessaloniki and St. Petersburg. The activities of these people was registered by Petko Slavikov and Stojin Novakovic. The emergence of Macedonian identity was a relatively nascent and nebulous affair because Ottoman rule had lasted the longest. The subsequent propaganda and armed conflict between newly formed Balkans monarchies over Macedonian territory, and indeed the cultural similarity between Macedonians and their closest neighbors. The first prominent author that propagated the separate ethnicity of the Macedonians was Georgy Pulevsky, who in 1875 published Dictionary of Three Languages, Macedonian, Albanian, Turkish, in which he wrote, "What do we call a nation? People who are of the same origin and who speak the same words and who live and make friends of each other, who have the same customs and songs and entertainment are what we call a nation, and the place where that people lives is called the people's country." Thus the Macedonians also are a nation and the place which is theirs is called Macedonia. On the other hand, Theodosius of Skopje, a priest who have held a high-ranking positions within the Bulgarian Exarchate, was chosen as the bishop of the episcopacy of Skopje in 1885. As a bishop of Skopje, Theodosius renounced de facto the Bulgarian Exarchate and attempted to restore the archbishopric of Oradan to separate the episcopacies in Macedonia from the Exarchate. During this time period, Metropolitan Bishop Theodosius of Skopje made several pleas to the Bulgarian Church to allow a separate Macedonian church. He viewed this as the only way to end the turmoil in the Balkans. In 1903, Krsde Petkov Misirkov published his book on Macedonian matters in which he laid down the principles of the modern Macedonian nationhood and language. This book is considered by ethnic Macedonians as a milestone of the ethnic Macedonian identity and the apogee of the process of Macedonian awakening. In his article, Macedonian Nationalism, he wrote, "I hope it will not be held against me that I, as a Macedonian, place the interests of my country before all. I am a Macedonian, I have a Macedonian's consciousness, and so I have my own Macedonian view of the past, present, and future of my country and of all the South Slavs, and so I should like them to consult us, the Macedonians, about all the questions concerning us and our neighbors, and not have everything end merely with agreements between Bulgaria and Serbia about us, but without us. Misirkov argued that a standard Macedonian literary language, in which Macedonians should write, study, and worship, should be created, based on the dialects spoken in the west-central part of what is today Republic of Macedonia. The autocephalous Archbishopric of Ohrid should be restored, and the Slavic people of Macedonia should be identified in their Ottoman identity cards as Macedonians. The next great figure of the Macedonian awakening was Demetria Karpovsky, one of the founders of the Macedonian Literary Society, established in St. Petersburg in 1902. In the period 1913 to 1918, Karpovsky published the newspaper I, in which he and fellow members of the Petersburg Macedonian colony propagated the existence of a Macedonian people separate from the Greeks, Bulgarians and Serbs, and sought to popularize the idea for an independent Macedonian state. After the Balkan Wars, following division of the region of Macedonia amongst the Kingdom of Greece, the Kingdom of Bulgaria and the Kingdom of Serbia, and after World War I, the idea of belonging to a separate Macedonian nation was further spread among the Slavic-speaking population. The suffering during the wars, the endless struggle of the Balkan monarchies for dominance over the population increased the Macedonian sentiment that the institutionalization of an independent Macedonian nation would put an end to the suffering. On the question of whether they were Serbs or Bulgarians, the people more often started answering, neither Bulgar nor Serb. I am Macedonian only, and I'm sick of war. The consolidation of an international communist organization in the 1920s led to some failed attempts by the communists to use the Macedonian question as a political weapon. In the 1920 Yugoslav parliamentary elections, 25% of the total communist vote came from Macedonia, but participation was low, mainly because the pro-Bulgarian IMRO organized a boycott against the elections. In the following years, the communists attempted to enlist the pro-IMRO sympathies of the population in their cause. In the context of this attempt, in 1924 the Comintern organized the filed signing of the so-called May Manifesto, in which independence of partitioned Macedonia was required. In 1925, with the help of the Comintern, the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization was created, composed of former left-wing Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization members. This organization promoted in the early 1930s the existence of a separate ethnic Macedonian nation. This idea was internationalized and backed by the Comintern, which issued in 1934 a resolution supporting the development of the entity. This action was attacked by the IMRO, but was supported by the Balkan Communists. The Balkan Communist parties supported the national consolidation of the ethnic Macedonian people and created Macedonian sections within the parties, headed by prominent IMRO members. The sense of belonging to a separate Macedonian nation gained credence during World War II when ethnic Macedonian Communist partisan detachments were formed. In 1943 the Communist Party of Macedonia was established and the resistance movement grew up. After the World War II, ethnic Macedonian institutions were created in the three parts of the region of Macedonia, then under communist control, including the establishment of the People's Republic of Macedonia within the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Following the collapse of Yugoslavia, the issue of Macedonian identity has again emerged. Nationalists and governments alike from neighboring countries have espoused to the view that the creation of a Macedonian ethnicity is a modern, artificial creation. Such views have been seen by Macedonian historians to represent irredentist motives on Macedonian territory. Moreover, Western historians are quick to point out that in fact all modern nations are recent, politically motivated constructs based on creation myths. The creation of Macedonian identity is no more or less artificial than any other identity. Contrary to the claims of romantic nationalists, modern, territorially bound and mutually exclusive nation-states have little in common with the large territorial or dynastic medieval empires, and any connection between them is tenuous at best. In any event, irrespective of shifting political affiliations, the Macedonian Slavs shared in the fortunes of the Byzantine Commonwealth and the Rum Millet, and they can claim them as the heritage. Lowering Danforth states similarly, the ancient heritage of modern Balkan countries is not the mutually exclusive property of one specific nation, but the shared inheritance of all Balkan peoples. A more radical and uncompromising strand of Macedonian nationalism has recently emerged, called Ancient Macedonism or Antiquization. Proponents of such views see modern Macedonians as direct descendants of the ancient Macedonians. This policy is facing a criticism by academics as it demonstrates feebleness of archaeology and of other historical disciplines in public discourse, as well as a danger of marginalization of the Macedonian identity. History. The history of the ethnic Macedonians has been shaped by population shifts and political developments in the region of Macedonia. Following the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire in the early 20th century, the decisive point in the ethnogenesis of the Slavic ethnic group was the creation of the Socialist Republic of Macedonia after World War II, a state in the framework of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Population. The vast majority of ethnic Macedonians live along the valley of the river Vardar, the central region of the Republic of Macedonia. They form about 64.18% of the population of the Republic of Macedonia. Smaller numbers live in eastern Albania, northern Greece, and southern Serbia, mostly abutting the border areas of the Republic of Macedonia. A large number of Macedonians have immigrated overseas to Australia, United States, Canada, and in many European countries, Germany, the United Kingdom, Italy, and Austria, among others. Balkans. Greece. The existence of an ethnic Macedonian minority in Greece is rejected by the Greek government. The number of people speaking Macedonian dialects has been estimated at somewhere between 10,000 and 250,000. Most of these people, however, do not have an ethnic Macedonian national consciousness, with most choosing to identify as ethnic Greeks or rejecting both ethnic designations. In 1999, the Greek Helsinki Monitor estimated that the number of people identifying as ethnic Macedonians numbered somewhere between 10,000 and 30,000, while Loring Danforth estimates it at around 10,000. Macedonian sources generally claim the number of ethnic Macedonians living in Greece at somewhere between 200,000 and 350,000. Since the late 1980s, there has been an ethnic Macedonian revival in northern Greece, mostly centering on the region of Florina. Since then, ethnic Macedonian organizations, including the Rainbow political party, have been established. Rainbow has seen limited success at a national level, its best result being achieved in the 1994 European elections, with a total of 7,263 votes. Since 2004 it has participated in European Parliament elections and local elections, but not in national elections. A few of its members have been elected in local administrative posts. Rainbow has recently re-established Novosora, a newspaper that was first published for a short period in the mid-90s, with reportedly 20,000 copies being distributed free of charge. Lately, there have been reports of unofficial Macedonian language lessons at a small scale in Florina, Thessaloniki and Edessa, Serbia. Within Serbia, Macedonians constitute an officially recognized ethnic minority at both a local and national level. Within Vojvodina, Macedonians are recognized under the Statute of the Autonomous Province of Vojvodina, along with other ethnic groups. Large Macedonian settlements within Vojvodina can be found in Plandista, Jabuka, Gloganj, Duzin, and Kakarevo. These people are mainly the descendants of economic migrants who left the Socialist Republic of Macedonia in the 1950s and 1960s. The Macedonians in Serbia are represented by a national council, and in recent years the Macedonian language has begun to be taught. The most recent census recorded 22,755 Macedonians living in Serbia. Albania. Macedonians represent the second largest ethnic minority population in Albania. Albania recognizes the existence of a Macedonian minority within the Maloprespa region, most of which is comprised by Likina's municipality. Macedonians have full minority rights within this region, including the right to education and the provision of other services in the Macedonian language. There also exist unrecognized Macedonian populations living in the Golo-Brdo region, the Dolnopole area near the town of Peshkopi, around Lake Orad and Kos, as well as in Gora. 4,697 people declared themselves ethnic Macedonians in the 1989 census. Bulgaria. Bulgarians are considered most closely related to the neighboring Macedonians. Indeed, it is sometimes said there is no clear ethnic difference between them. As regards self-identification, a total of 1,654 people officially declared themselves to be ethnic Macedonians in the last Bulgarian census in 2011, and 561 of them are in Blagoevgrad province. 1,091 of them are Macedonian citizens, who are permanent residents in Bulgaria. Krasimir Kanev, chairman of the non-governmental organization Bulgarian Helsinki Committee, claimed 15,000–25,000 in 1998. In the same report, Macedonian nationalists claimed that 200,000 ethnic Macedonians live in Bulgaria. However, Bulgarian Helsinki Committee stated that the vast majority of the Slavic population in Pirene, Macedonia has a Bulgarian national self-consciousness, and a regional Macedonian identity similar to the Macedonian regional identity in Greek Macedonia. Finally, according to personal evaluation of a leading local ethnic Macedonian political activist, Stoiko Stoica, the present number of Bulgarian citizens with ethnic Macedonian self-consciousness is between 5,000 and 10,000. The Bulgarian Constitutional Court banned UMO Linden Pirene, a small Macedonian political party, in 2000 as separatist. Subsequently, activists attempted to re-establish the party but could not gather the required signatures to this aim. Diaspora. Significant Macedonian communities can also be found in the traditional immigrant-receiving nations, as well as in Western European countries. It should be noted that census data in many European countries does not take into account the ethnicity of emigres from the Republic of Macedonia, Argentina. Most Macedonians can be found in Buenos Aires, the Pampas and Córdoba. An estimated 30,000 Macedonians can be found in Argentina, Australia. The official number of Macedonians in Australia by birthplace or birthplace of parents is 83,893. The main Macedonian communities are found in Melbourne, Geelong, Sydney, Wollongong, Newcastle, Canberra and Perth. Ancestry. See also Macedonian Australians, Canada. The Canadian census in 2001 records 37,705 individuals claimed wholly or partly Macedonian heritage in Canada, although community spokesmen have claimed that there are actually 100,000–150,000 Macedonians in Canada. USA. A significant Macedonian community can be found in the United States of America. The official number of Macedonians in the USA is 49,455. The Macedonian community is located mainly in Michigan, New York, Ohio, Indiana, and New Jersey. Germany. There are an estimated 61,000 citizens of the Republic of Macedonia in Germany. Italy. There are 74,162 citizens of the Republic of Macedonia in Italy. Switzerland. In 2006, the Swiss government recorded 60,362 Macedonian citizens living in Switzerland. Romania. Ethnic Macedonians are an officially recognized minority group in Romania. They have a special reserved seat in the nation's parliament. In 2002, they numbered 731. Slovenia. Ethnic Macedonians began relocating to Slovenia in the 1950s when the two regions formed a part of a single country, Yugoslavia. Other significant ethnic Macedonian communities can also be found in the other Western European countries such as Austria, France, Switzerland, Netherlands, United Kingdom, etc. Also in Uruguay, with a significant population in Montevideo.